yet. I have to introduce him. I only found out last Tuesday that the senator was going to be with us this morning. I happened to have picked my son up from school that afternoon, and as we were driving home, I said, Chris, do you by any chance know who John McCain is? And about on the count of two, he said, yes, he was that pilot that crashed in Vietnam in the pond and broke a lot of bones, and they beat him with sticks and threw him in prison, and he got out and ran for senator and president. I thought I couldn't have said it better myself. So please make a real, authentic American hero welcome, Senator John McCain.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you all. Thank you for coming out this morning. Thank you all. It's wonderful to see you. Gene, thank you. And Gene, as you may know, had 5 brothers who served in World War II, and that's quite a wonderful family legacy. And thank you. I have one son who was in the Marine Corps and one who is now a Navy pilot. I hope he's a lot better than I was. And so I want to thank all of you for coming. Now, first of all, what did you think about Mitt's performance last night? Now, I mean, he knocked it right out of the park. I mean, that was a home run last night, and I think that that's going to give us the momentum if we keep working to carry us to victory here in Florida and on to the nomination and on to the presidency of the United States. I really believe that that was a spectacular performance. And by the way, I think it's also time these debates came to an end. I think we had about enough of them. Look, as you may, some of you may recall, we had a very spirited primary in 2008. And Florida was the battleground, really the battleground state in 2008. It is the battleground state in 2012. Have no doubt that the result of the Florida election will most likely determine this race. And we've only got a few days between now and next Tuesday. I'm first of all asking you to spend a lot of time between now and next Tuesday. A lot of these times, as you know, elections depend on voter turnout. And people that don't get out to vote lose. It's not much more complicated than that. I want to tell you that after the 2008 election, no one worked harder for my candidacy than Mitt Romney. He went every place in America. He spoke, he raised money, he did every possible thing he could, and I will always be grateful. But most of all, I have watched Mitt Romney over the years, both in business, as governor, as a politician, and as a thinker, develop into a person who I am convinced can be a great president of the United States, and we need a new president of the United States. Mitt Romney. By the way, I got a new line I just thought of. I don't know if you saw it or not, that Newt Gingrich thinks that we would be starting mining on the moon. Did you have and, within 8 years we would have mining. Well, I think we ought to send Newt Gingrich to the moon and Mitt Romney to the White House. Pretty good line, I just thought. I would like to mention a couple things with you very quickly. Why is it that I disagree with Newt Gingrich? My friends, I served in the Congress of the United States. One of the worst practices, which is actually corruption, that we practiced in the Congress, and we have managed to cut back on it, but we haven't eliminated back in those years, was this earmarked pork barrel spending, where a powerful member of Congress would be able to put in a line and get money for a select project that had nothing to do with the merits of it, but had everything to do with the power and influence of that member of Congress. It's your tax dollars. It breeds corruption. As my friend Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma says, earmarks are the gateway drug to corruption. So we ended up with a huge scandal. Abramoff, with Congressman Duke Cunningham going to prison, with Congressman Bob Ney going to prison. I mean, it is corruption. And Newt Gingrich turned it into an art form when he was the Speaker of the House. It ballooned by billions of dollars. Billions, not millions, not hundreds of millions, but billions of dollars. And I went to the floor time after time and fought against this. So you cannot call yourself a fiscal conservative if you engaged in this corrupt practice of earmarking. And that is what Newt Gingrich turned into an art form. And so, and I guarantee you, Mitt Romney will ask, and I hope receive, a line-item veto so he could veto every single one of these pork barrel projects. He did it when he was governor of Massachusetts, and he will do it as president of the United States of America. Before I stop to answer and respond to any questions or comments or insults that you might have, let me just say that I'm worried about this nation's security. I understand, and you understand, that in a state like Florida, in a state like Arizona, where we are the hardest hit by the housing crisis, where in my home state of Arizona, nearly half the homes are underwater. In other words, worth less than the mortgage payments that they are making. Americans are hurting. But also, a lot of things are going on in the world. And in the Middle East, the Arab Spring is going across there. We have the rise of China, who is acting in a very belligerent and confrontational fashion in some ways. And so national security is still a very, very important issue, and as you know, one I've spent a lot of time on. This president is now cutting the size of the military in a dramatic and a draconian fashion that I believe can endanger our nation's national security. And Mitt Romney does not support those cuts. He believes in a strong America, and he believes in leading from in front and not from behind as this president. I have confidence in Mitt Romney in carrying out a role as Commander-in-Chief to make this nation proud again and make this nation the nation that Ronald Reagan made it when we won the Cold War without firing a shot. So I hope that you will do what's necessary between now and next Tuesday. I know that there have already been a lot of votes given the absentee ballot program that you have here. But it's going to come down. It could be very close. I think with Mitt's performance last night, we can see the momentum and on the way to a victory. But there's been more than one ex-candidate who took anything for granted, and we will certainly never do that. So with that, I would like to say thanks for coming out this morning. I would like to respond to any questions or comments. And please don't forget the words of the late Mayor Daley of Chicago, who said, vote early and vote often. Thank you very much. Sir.
First, before I ask the question, I'm sure we all agree, we all want to thank you for your service to our country. Yeah. I want to say I was wrong the last time. We worked hard, but God bless you for supporting Mitt. What's this all about, Governor Brewer and the President and the airport, about immigration? I want your comment.
The President is going, I believe, to 5 states here in the last day or two, and they're all battleground states. And Arizona is a battleground state. It's one of those that the experts view as up for grabs. So he came into Arizona the other day, yesterday, I guess, or the day before. And the President has traveled the country extensively. He has never been to the Arizona-Mexico border. He has never visited. Now, this is the same area where, as you probably know, this Operation Fast and Furious, these scandalous selling, buying these guns, and they ending up down in Mexico. We had a brave Border Patrol agent who was killed by these cartel guys using one of these Fast and Furious guns. He has never seen our border, which happens to be the Arizona-Mexico border happens to be the place where the drug cartels bring the drugs across. There are guides sitting on the mountains in Arizona guiding the drugs up to Phoenix, where they are then distributed throughout the country. That's just a fact. That is a fact told to me by the federal government, not my own assessment. So Governor Brewer would like to have, and I would like to have, the president come down to the border and see why we need to complete the fence and why we need to complete and secure our border. We are a nation of immigrants. We are not anti-immigrant, but we believe that we need to secure our borders. The drug cartels are bringing the drugs across, which are killing our kids. The coyotes are bringing people across. These are the people that bring the illegal immigrants across and mistreat them in the most terrible fashion, hold them for ransom, abuse them, and yes, we have made some progress, but we need to do a lot more to make sure our border is secure. The president refuses to do that. So I guess what happened was the president and Governor Brewer had a fairly spirited conversation, and Governor Brewer gave him a letter, which frankly was a very mild letter, also again inviting him to come to inspect our border. There's also a story about the president had a similar confrontation with the governor of Louisiana, Governor Jindal, some time ago. I guess maybe you describe the president as prickly.
Thin skin. Thin skin.
There you go. Thin skin. Yeah. That's a better word. Thank you. Anyway. Yes, sir.
Could you comment on Romney's plan to improve Social Security and the contrast between his plan and Obama's plan?
Social Security is going broke. Now, you can describe it in any way you want to, but the fact is that there's more money going out than is coming in. And what that does, it puts in danger the Social Security benefits of people like you. Because I believe that any expert, and they have this group that are the trustees of the Social Security Fund that give us these assessments, and they say that it's going broke. So we're going to have to fix Social Security. But we also have to make sure that present beneficiaries will continue to receive the benefits that they earn. But we are going to have to look at changes to Social Security to make sure that it is solvent, not only for present beneficiaries, but for future beneficiaries. In 1983, Social Security was going broke. Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill was the liberal Democrat Speaker of the House, sat down together, and they walked out and they said, we're going to fix Social Security, and they did for 25 years. We have to sit down, Republican and Democrat, and come up with a solution to Social Security. That may mean changes for people your age, but also I think that one of the things we should do is to allow you to take part of those Social Security payments that you make and put it into an investment that you want to invest in, rather than have the government just take it and give it to other purposes. So Mitt Romney understands that we have to reform Social Security, but he is committed to keeping the benefits for present beneficiaries as they are. And anybody who says that he's going to destroy Social Security, frankly, doesn't understand exactly what Mitt wants. So thanks for asking that question. Any more? Yes, ma'am.
I understood what you said about Mitt Romney having a good performance. That sounds kind of performance acting. Is there another way we could portray that?
I think...
I know you didn't mean that, but...
Well, you know, unfortunately, in my view, they are performances. And, and I wish that they were not. I wish that the questions were not. What it has deteriorated into is mud wrestling.
Yeah.
And what debate should really be all about, when we use the word debates, is, Mitt Romney, what is your view of Social Security? Not, did you have an investment in Fannie Mae, or did you, in other words, they have deteriorated into mudslinging, when most Americans, frankly, are much more interested in what Mitt's going to do about Social Security than whether he had an investment or a blind trust or whatever it is. In fact, I don't know what he had, and I don't give a damn. Because I know that he was in a free enterprise system. I know that Bain Capital went out and took ailing companies and bought them, and many of them restored them to health, and some they did not. That's capitalism. Now, if you wanted every company to survive, then we should be the Soviet Union. No company ever failed in the Soviet Union. And unfortunately, capitalism, that some people do fail, but other people take risks and succeed. Bain Capital started with it funded an outfit that started with $5 million in a warehouse. It's now called Staples. And so, and I can tell you other success stories, but I can also tell you other stories of the people that failed, tragically. But that's what capitalism is about. So all I can say is that they have turned into performances. I wish they hadn't. I wish that the moderators, and it's mostly liberal media, as you know,
Sorry, you guys.
would be communists, most of them. Is that we would get, it would have been much more substantive. It's not anymore. What's the reviews? Did anybody get a gotcha question in? You know, the review should be, here is how Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich, Ron Paul, Rick Santorum are going to restore America's economy. That's what these debates should be all about. So when I say performance, I meant presentation and I meant articulation. And so I really believe that what a lot of people that are supporters wanted to see was what we saw last night, and that's kind of a feisty Mitt Romney, and I think we saw that last night. Sir.
Can you please comment on Mitt Romney's tax plan, and can you compare it to Newt Gingrich's, please?
You know, I haven't paid attention, honestly, to Newt Gingrich's tax plan. I just haven't. I'm a little more busy. Anyway, what Mitt Romney and some of us want to do is reform the tax code completely. The tax code is now this high. The tax code should be about that thick. It should be 3 tax brackets and a couple of deductions like donations to charity or mortgage, home loan mortgages. And that way the American people would trust it, and that way the American people would then have some confidence that it's fair. The reason why it's that high is because the influence of special interests and lobbyists in Washington. There are countries, for example, a little Baltic country, Estonia, that used to be part of the Soviet Union. They have a single tax bracket. You can go online, type in your name and your account number. They'll tell you how much money you owe on a flat tax, and you punch whether you're going to pay it or not. I mean, it's that simple. If they can do it in Estonia, it seems to me that we can do that in the United States of America. So Mitt Romney's overall tax plan is to simplify and to make it restore Americans' confidence.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Yes. Yes.
I'm actually a legal immigrant to the US. I came here on a visa which asks me to invest in a business, to buy a business, to employ American citizens. But the visa doesn't actually ever lead to me being able to apply for a green card and to become a citizen and be able to vote. I just wondered what your view was of people who are coming here and who are entrepreneurs and creating jobs, and whether we should be allowed to be able to stay here permanently and have more future stability.
I do believe that, and I agree with it. And I think that not only should people like you be able to apply for a green card and permanent citizenship, but I think some of these young students who are now majoring in engineering and sciences and other, that we'd rather have them have the ability to stay here rather than go back to China or some of our competitors.
I have 2 children at college, one down the road and one in Iraq, and we don't know what their future will be when they leave.
Well, there's no doubt that we need overall immigration reform. And let me point out that Mitt Romney understands very well that unless there are Native Americans here, we are all a nation of immigrants. But what we want to do is have a legal system where people from your country or from anywhere in the world will have the same opportunity to come here and apply for citizenships. Greatness of America is we've had wave after wave of immigrants come to this country, which has enriched our nation. But we don't think it's fair for people to be able to come here illegally, and just because someone lives much further away, they don't have the ability to come to this country. So we need to get our border secured, because we can't have a continuous flow of illegal immigrants into this country. But at the same time, we should have a system where we could welcome people into our country like you, who bring not only capital, but also create jobs, which is the most important thing. Any more? Thank you. Well, if there's no more, yes.
If Mitt Romney were to choose a vice presidential running mate today, who do you think it would be, or what do you think are his favorite options?
A little straight talk. Marco Rubio. I have grown to know and appreciate Marco Rubio in the United States Senate. He's smart, he's tough, he's a thinker, he's very articulate, and I think he has an incredibly bright future in the American scene, whether it's as vice president or as maybe even a future contender for president. As you know, he's very young. I think he has a very bright future. I would remind you that the vice president really only has two duties. One is to cast a tie-breaking vote. If there's a tie vote in the Senate, then he comes and casts a tie-breaking vote. And the other responsibility is to inquire daily as to the health of the president. So, and I certainly do hope that President Obama keeps Joe Biden, who is the gift that keeps on giving. Saw his latest, he was imitating some overseas accent or something just in the last day or so. Really smart move, Joe. Anymore. Again, could I say a little nostalgia. I went through pilot training in Pensacola. I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida at Cecil Field when I went away during the Vietnam War. I have a very special feeling for the people of Florida, and I'm very grateful for everything that they have done for me and my family, and I'm also very grateful for what the state of Florida has done for people who have come, as to Arizona, from all over the country, because they wanted to enjoy the great beauty of this state. This is the most important state. This election on Tuesday will be the election. The world will be watching, not just the nation, but the world. And I don't want you to wake up on Wednesday morning and say, gee, I wish I had made a few more phone calls, or I wish I had put up another yard sign, or I wish I had gone to the polls and make sure that everything is right there as an observer. So there's a lot for you to do between now and Tuesday. And on behalf of the Romney campaign, I would like to, at their expense, invite you all to Washington for his inauguration.